Oh man, let's rip into here and see what we have got. Two pork butts, 4 pork butts, and 6. We got 60 pounds of pork here, and there's really only one thing to do with it. All right, 6 boneless pork butts, totaling 60 pounds. That's a lot of pork. Now, this is for a work event that I'm providing the meat for in a couple of days, and I'm super jazzed about that, although I'd be a little bit more excited if I was just putting it all in my freezer for myself. But anyway, here we are. So the first step after getting that pork and just having it refrigerated is I'm going to prepare the spice rub. So let's take a look at what's in that. So I have a particular spice rub that I like to use anytime I'm smoking pork shoulders or pork ribs or anything like that. And I always make up a decent amount of it, and then I've got it on hand, especially for the ribs, because you don't need a whole lot of that going on it. And then I just got some in the pantry. Now, I'm doubling the recipe that I'm going to tell you because I've got a lot of shoulder, but let's go ahead here. So it's a ½ cup of paprika. So of course I'm going with a full cup. I've got a ½ cup of like either turbinado sugar, sugar in the raw, whatever you want to call it. I've got a 1/3 cup of ground mustard. There is a 1/3 cup of garlic powder. I've got a 1/4 cup of kosher salt. You could also just use a finer salt. That would be fine as well. I just like this. I already have the big chunky sugar in there anyway. And then a 1/4 cup of black pepper. I would sort of prefer, if I was making this in a smaller quantity, I would use fresh cracked pepper just in my pepper mill, but that takes a little bit longer and it's going to get a lot of pepper stuff up into the air and make me sneeze like a fool. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the ground pepper for this. And then you just mix it up really well so that it's totally uniform. And then we're going to be ready to take a look at the pork. All right, here we go. You can see I've got these ridiculous sandwich artist gloves on. I ran out of my vinyl gloves and I haven't replaced them yet, and I decided I should suffer through these ones that I accidentally bought one time without reading the label closely, sort of my penance that I'm paying. So I'm just going to slice into this package here with these shoulders in it. Let's see what we're working with. I got this big knife out here because I might be trimming off some of the fat depending how much is on here. Even just that phrase, trimming the fat, makes me sad since fat is absolutely delicious. However, if it's too much, I will take off just a little bit. All right. Put you over there. Now, what have we here? So maybe on this one end here, like you can see, like it's pretty thick coming across here. So I might just take some off of this end. I do want to leave a decent amount of it on just because it's going to help protect the meat, help prevent it from drying out, all kinds of stuff. And like I said, it is delicious. And when I go to like shred it later on, if I find like big knobs of fat still kicking around at all, it's pretty easy just to remove them at that point. So it's only in these spots where the fat is like well over an inch thick that I might deal with it. All right, so there's that. I'll quickly trim this one up here if necessary. Oh, not even. Actually, this one will be fine just as is. All right, perfect. Let's get some spices on. All right, so we've got the pork there. Just using a spoon here, I'm going to sprinkle on this rub. I like to do this at least the night before and give this rub some nice time to just sort of sink into the meat, really kind of get into it. However, since my schedule is kind of wonky today, I'm doing this the morning before I'm going to smoke. So it's actually going to get even more time sitting on this meat, which I don't think can hurt it. So just go ahead, give it a good sprinkle. Try to get it pretty much everywhere. Sweet, yeah, and there we go. Oh, Looks like I missed a spot. This is why we double check. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so now I am going to repeat with the other 5 pork butts and get them all into a container so that they are ready to refrigerate until tomorrow morning. There we go. Well rubbed meat in these 2 bins. I'm just going to cover this up with plastic wrap and then get them into the refrigerator and leave them until tomorrow morning. And then for the record, looks like we've got maybe around half a cup of that spice rub left. So you can see how much it takes in order to coat that much pork. Well, it is the morning of the smoke, and I've got these beautifully rubbed shoulders in here, all 6 of them up on the top 2 shelves, and I'm firing up the charcoal down here with my grill torch. And I'm really excited, not just because I'm making all of this pork, but also because this is the first smoke that I've done since installing the new concrete roof here on the smoker. So anyway, I'm going to let this charcoal get all nice and hot and we're good to go. Another thing to mention here before I close up is this chafing dish, which is containing some apple cider vinegar and some water, and that's acting as a little bit of a heat deflector for the charcoal because it's coming straight up, but then also helping create a bit more of a humid environment for the pork. Here we go, we've hit temperature, going at 225. Got a nice little bit of smoke coming out of there, so as soon as the smoke dies down from that charcoal, any of that's gone, I'm going to be adding some chunks of wood. So after a few hours, let's take a peek here. Oh yeah. These are looking nice. Gorgeous, smells fantastic. All right, so we are several hours in here now, and I'm actually just going to rearrange where these shoulders are. Switching the top and the bottom. They're looking and smelling amazing. A little. There we go. Fire these up. Try not to drop them. But I also need to add my meat thermometers here so I can keep a better idea. Get a better idea what's going on temperature-wise. So, almost lost that one there. Like that. And, of course, I put these in my apron. Really difficult to get them out. And just like that. And lastly, just giving them a little mop here with, this is some of my bacon bourbon, mixed with just a little barbecue sauce and some cider vinegar. And these will be ready to keep smoking. Well, look at these. So they all wound up hitting just around 190 to 195, and I've let them kind of just cool down a little bit. Nicely smoked, some cool little bark on there. And it's going to be time to break them up here pretty quickly. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and shred this pork, which is just coming apart so easily. Beautifully cooked. Yeah, that temperature range there, that mid 190s is just perfect for this. Just comes right apart. Still juicy. Has some nice bark here on some of these parts here. It's a little bit crunchier, but once this is all mixed in and sauced up, it's going to be beautiful, and that'll add just a little extra flavor to it too. So there is shoulder number 1. Now it's time to do the other 5. All right, so for the sauce, I'm going with a Carolina Red, and I'm going to start off here with 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to add to that a half cup of ketchup, and we're going to throw in a heaping tablespoon of brown sugar, and a good, just over a teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm just going to let this all combine here. I'm heating up just a little bit to help that salt get in there just a little bit quicker. And then we'll add it to the meat and see if this is anywhere near enough sauce. I don't want it like super saucy or anything. I just want it to have a little bit of moisture, especially since I'm reheating it. And then I'm also going to add just about a quarter teaspoon of some cayenne. I just want to give it the tiniest little bit of kick. That's some fairly spicy cayenne pepper that I've got there. Because this is going to be made for a large crowd, I don't want it to be too spicy. People can add hot sauce as they need. Okay, so my sauce is good to go. So now I'm just going to drizzle it over top. And it will sink through and get down to the bottom. And now I need to do some soul searching and decide if that's going to be enough liquid in there or not. So I decided, in the spirit of better safe than dry and pissed off, I made just a quarter size batch of the same sauce, and I'm just going to be adding it here. And that way everything should be perfect. So there we are. Now I just need to refrigerate this and get it aside for tomorrow. So the next day I'm just heating up a small portion here for the family. And I made up some more of this Carolina red sauce just to add to it, just to ensure that it doesn't dry out too much while reheating. And so it's got a little nice sauciness to it. Just mix this up. Let it get nice and warm, and then we can get this on some buns. Well, here we are. I have to say I'm extremely happy with this. This is probably my favorite pulled pork that I've made. And I've gone ahead and just tossed it on a bun. I've got a little slice of Havarti cheese on there. I've got some nice homemade coleslaw, a couple of pickles, and then topping the pork, I've got just a little splash of my fermented smoky bourbon hot sauce. Now, I'm not going to torture you by going ahead and eating this on camera. And I do have to go pair this with the beer, so I'm going to run and do that. So, yeah, this was super fun. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep Road 11.